Hey guys, I'm Eric. That's Keith, and this is Notes Nerds. We're doing a movie review of basically what you might want to revisit and some of the new stuff that's on Netflix and Hulu. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith, the Critic. So, Keith, we were doing stuff with the podcast, audio only, and technically we still can do that, but we're also adding in the feature here with Zoom meetings, simply because it's such a wonderful way to do everything. Everybody's doing it nowadays. So let's go ahead and get started. You've got some movies that you've seen over the weekend, right?
Yeah, and just some movies that people had been out for like 5-6 years, something like that people might have forgotten about.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. What's the first movie you want to talk about?
Well, the first movie is a movie called Love, Simon. And I tell you what, this is a movie that you should watch with, kids are like 12 and older or something like that, because it's a really good movie. And I thought that Nick Robinson, who plays Simon, I think that was a really cool performance. And I thought, man, this is really good. And also, Kathleen Langford plays Leah, and she also stars in 13 Reasons Why. And I tell you what, this movie is a really good movie. And Simon has a secret. Of course, he's gay, and he doesn't tell anybody that. And finally, he just announces it to the world, and all of a sudden, it's kind of an upsetting deal, because his best friend is played by Leah, Catherine Langford, and they made out and all that stuff, and then it's just something that you have to understand the proximity. And when you come out and you're gay and all that stuff, it doesn't matter, but it matters to some people.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
it's the unfortunate scenario of the movie brings to light that people like ourselves that are what they classify as cis white male, we can't identify it. Honestly, we cannot. We try to, but we can't, simply because we never experienced these kind of things. And the moment something like, you expose who you really are, people can overreact, like, oh my God, you've lied to me all your life. How can I trust anything you say? And I mean, that's what this movie, which is based off the book of the same name, really is touching on, and trying to help bring to light that they're not lying. It's like the superhero concept, where they have that secret identity. It's not only to protect themselves, but it's also to help protect other people, because the moment like Simon comes out, it doesn't. This movie, I don't think, really touches on that aspect as much, but it does bring a level of danger and violence to this group of people, and also their families, because again, people react, and in a lot of cases overreact in some of the dumbest ways.
You know what? And I think Jennifer Gardner plays his mom, and then also Josh McDaniel plays his dad. And Jennifer Gardner is so good in this movie, like she is in most movies. And I just thought that the whole process is something that you could watch with. Yeah, you've watched it? Do you watch it with your kids?
Honestly, I've never watched it. I've gathered enough off of it. I'm one of those type of people that don't watch films for entertainment value, of course, but mostly films that I can identify with, or that fit within a certain genre that I specifically like.
I tell you what,
I have heard of the story enough to get the idea of what was happening.
I rated this movie one of the best films of this year. I think it came out like 5 years ago or something like that.
Love, Simon.
A couple of years ago.
I think it was early last summer.
Yeah.
No,
that's right.
No, it came out 2 years ago.
That's what I thought.
2018. You're right.
Yeah. And then, I think everybody, you should watch this movie. You can pick it up on HBO or Cinemax.
It's streaming everywhere, I think.
Yeah, it's streaming everywhere. You pick it up on, I think, Netflix and all that stuff. It is a good movie. It's a good movie to watch with your family, because it really, it doesn't matter how you feel about if you're gay or not. And I love the fact that Jennifer Gardner is such a good mom in this movie, and Nick Robinson is great as playing Simon. And I highly recommend you watch this movie. It is terrific.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and move on to the next film that you got. What's the next one you want to talk about?
Okay, it's About Time.
It's about time for what?
About time for what? This movie came out about 5 years ago or something like that. And I tell you what, this is a really, really good, enlightening, and let's see. John Royal Gleason plays Tim, and he turns 21, and so he doesn't know what he's going to do with the rest of his life. So his dad, brilliantly played by Bill Knightley, discovers that he can travel back and forth in time and makes things go good, or he can, I think this is a movie that's very, very good. And Bill Knightley is tremendous in this movie. And also, Rachel McAdams plays Tim's wife eventually in this show. And I thought this whole movie was well done. I thought it was written, directed by Richard Curtis, and he's a great director and he's a great writer. And I thought that there's so many interests in this movie that just kind of made me feel that if I could go back in time or go forward in time or whatever, I would do that immediately, because it's just a good movie. And I tell you what, he goes back to date Rachel McAdams, and he tries like 4 or 5, 6 times, and finally makes it work. And they have kids and all that stuff together. And I thought this movie was excellent. It is well directed, like I said before, well written. And I tell you what, this movie is excellent. You can pick it up on Netflix, and I own it. And it's just a really, really good movie. About Time is a movie you should watch. Now, there's some sad scenes in this movie, but, there's sadness all over the place, like the society we live in right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but yeah, About Time is excellent.
Great. So one of the life lessons I noticed that you pick up, I'm wondering if this, because I haven't seen this movie either, curious if this movie kind of plays on that aspect of messing with time. I mean, we've seen it.
Yeah, it did.
And even the Time Traveler's Wife, we saw that where
yes,
popping back and forth in time, messing with things back here, messing with things up here.
Yes.
Did it have one of those, like, he had to go back and stop certain things from happening that he did himself?
Yes. Yeah, and that part of it's really, really good. And then eventually he goes back and starts dating Rachel McAdams and all that stuff. And he travels back. He was dating a gal and he broke up with her. And then he goes back and starts messing with time and all that. I tell you what, this movie is really good. Just like the Time Traveler's Wife is probably just as good. And I thought that movie was excellent too. I
had fun with that movie. That one was a good movie, and I know it's an underrated film in my opinion, because people don't like the concept that they've kind of scientifically made it like some kind of disease where he caught. I know people did not like it, but I think that was an excellent film, and I mean, it played with the idea of time travel in a way that really kind of told a good narrative, and that's what I was hoping that this film that you're describing now, About Time, does.
It is. And he goes through so much stuff when he goes back and forward and all that stuff, because his dad, brilliantly played by, like I said, Bill Knightley plays his dad, and there's some funny parts in there. There's some tragic parts of this movie, and I thought this movie was excellent. And watch it. This is a great date night movie with your wife, Eric.
How long has this one been out?
It's been out like 5-6 years.
Okay. So definitely should be out on the streaming services, one of them.
Oh, somewhere. Yeah. It's out on Netflix, and if you own it, watch it again. It's a fun movie, and I highly recommend it. It is so good, and hopefully you'll be entertained by it. Also, like you said, the Time Traveler's Wife with Rachel McAdams, and God, who stars as the guy in that movie?
Eric Bana.
Yeah, and Eric Bana. That movie is probably just as good. It's more serious than Out of Time, but it's different movies. But you get the same, you get the same reaction to it. So.
Okay. Well, before we continue on, I just want to point out to all of our viewers that if you want to help support Notes Nerds, basically our own personal sponsoring here. Basically, you can go to patreon.com/notesnerds to help out. Starting off at $1. Subscribing to all of our social media really does actually help, especially on YouTube. Also, don't forget, you can go to shop.notesnerds.com, where we have a ton of shirts, kind of like this one right here, that you can purchase for yourself. We just reduced all of the prices across the board, so this way they're a little more affordable, especially in all these trying times. So, guys, if you want to help support the channel and watch more content like this, to help make more content like this, those are the best ways to do so.
How can I pick up one of those shirts, Eric?
Well, like I said, shop.notesnerds.com, and you can pay for only $20, $19.95 for this shirt, or $19.99 for this shirt, and that doesn't include, of course, shipping and handling fees. So you got to keep that in mind. But definitely can get these shirts there. Even got a kind of a tongue-in-cheek but serious shirts on there right now. I'm not going to really go into detail about that one, but you can totally get those shirts there. So let's go ahead and continue on. I really want to point out, if you hear a bunch of weird staticky noise on my end, we actually have an awesome storm going on right now. So be aware of that.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go ahead and go on to the next movie that you got for us.
Okay, the first movie came out, I think, in 1990. It was a television movie called, of course, It. And it was a 2-part series, and just like it was the last movies, was a 2-part movie and all that stuff. I tell you what, this movie, you know what it's about. They go in, 7 kids go in, they bring back Pennywise, brilliantly played by Tim Curry. I don't think there's anything better. Even though the new Pennywise is good, just something more evil about Tim Curry. It's just something that
I think I can pinpoint it. I think I can. Tim Curry's version of It was a product of the time, of course. Where they didn't have all the visual effects. Plus, it was a made-for-TV miniseries. Yes. So they had to keep the special effects to a minimum, including the real-world prosthetic effects. So in a movie like that, or a miniseries like that, they have to keep him normal looking. And because he was so normal looking, it really helped keep him that much freakier, because what was so different between him versus, the average clown you see at your kid's birthday party. Whereas Skarsgård, his rendition, they used a lot of visual effects, some real-world practical effects, and they really put him over the top. Plus, he was grungy looking, whereas classic Pennywise from the miniseries wasn't.
I tell you what, when you there's so many good parts, because Tim Curry just was brilliant in this movie.
The way he delivered lines.
Huh?
The way he delivered lines.
Yes, I just thought, oh my God, it's so cool. And of course, the stars Tim Reed, Annette O'Toole, Richard Thomas, Harry Anderson, the late and great, both actors, late and great Harry Anderson, John Ritter, and Richard Mauser. And I tell you what, this movie is so good. And if you you can get that off of Hulu or whatever channels you want to get it off of. And also, man, if you want to go out and buy it through Amazon or something like that, I think it's only like $8 to $9 each or something like that. I would highly recommend you watch this movie. Now, I love the new movies too. Those are good too. It's excellent. But if you just want to sit down and maybe watch it, because kids, kids can't watch like, if you're like 14 or older or something like that or whatever, you might take them to see the movies on the big screen. But to watch it, sit down and watch it, and that'd be a good scary movie and all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, all the performance in this is excellent. And I just was looking at the movies and all that, and I said, man, I need to review the first It, because I think it's very good and probably just as good as the movies on the big screen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Okay. Next up, Space Jam. Exactly.
It's so campy. It's so corny. It's a product of its time, but the film was fun for kids. It was lightning in a bottle, and the visual effects were revolutionary at the time too.
Yes, they were, man. And of course, Michael Jordan, Bugs Bunny. Come on, there's nothing better than those two guys. And then also stars Patrick Ewing and Charles Barkley, and this movie is excellent. It's good to watch with your kids. It's just, I tell you what, and then they're going to come out with Space Jam 2. They're already making that with LeBron James. I'm kind of like, okay, this is ridiculous, because Michael Jordan, LeBron James, he can do whatever he wants to do. But to have him star in Space Jam 2, I think it's ridiculous. I like some sequels, not every sequel, but I just feel like nothing, because they want to, they're going to bring in the Looney Tunes characters and all that stuff. That's a good idea, but have it star as something else. Don't have LeBron James star in this.
I'm not going to say LeBron James is one of those who really is because I don't follow basketball, is on top of the game. He is the modern equivalent, in my opinion, of Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I mean, we sit here with our rose-tinted glasses on of nostalgia, sitting here going like, nobody can replace Michael Jordan, the god of basketball. But at the same time, LeBron James is really, he is a great player. I think he would fit the same category, because Michael Jordan back then wasn't an actor either. So
that's fine.
Performances, I'm sure. But overall, I think having LeBron James in the role is good. But the problem is, like I said earlier, it was lightning in a bottle. Look what happened.
The special effects, like you said, are so great in this movie. Yeah. Even back, when it first came out, it was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. I think
it was an element of the film didn't take itself too seriously, because if you look at a lot of those, I'm going to call them sequels, even though they really weren't, where they were the films that came after this one, where they like, hey, we could totally do this. Let's do more of them because money. They were terrible films. And I think, honestly, this is going to be one of those problems as well, because we had these amazing live action and cartoon mishmash movies where they worked like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Space Jam.
By the way, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
I know a lot of people have some soft spots for Cool World, but at the same time, Cool World was kind of in that, it's a cult classic, and I'll give it that much, but it's not like Roger Rabbit, where you can go back and just have, where the rose-tinted glasses don't need to be on to enjoy it.
No.
Disney's been mix smashing, live action with animation forever. Go all the way back to the old Mary Poppins movies and stuff.
Oh God.
So
I love
Warner Brothers.
I love all the. By the way, I love the new the Disney Plus. You can get anything on Disney.
Disney Plus. I know a lot of people were worried about it, but I know I was worried about Hulu. But you know what? The way Disney has everything situated with those, kind of off on a tangent here real quick for folks.
Right.
Disney Plus, I love the fact that they really focus that on being the family-oriented stuff. It's all about the classic stuff. Not necessarily just Disney, but also all the Fox stuff that they could put on there as well. Yeah. Whereas Hulu is getting a lot of, solar opposites. It's a Justin Roiland series. Mm-hmm. The guy from Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Rick and Morty-esque type humor and stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here watching this going holy crap balls. We have this kind of stuff on Hulu, which is 2/3 owned by Disney now.
Yeah.
And but Disney's living up to what they said they were going to do is keep Hulu in this position where this is where all the stuff that we can't show on Disney, but we have a huge, massive adult and, even young adult and teen audience that wants to see this stuff, like Aliens, Predators, stuff like that. It's going to go there because, the Alien Queen is definitely not going to be a Disney princess anytime soon.
No.
So, yeah, I'm just glad they're able to do that. And so, yes, definitely worthwhile. Plus, you get it for $12.99. You get both of them in one package deal, along with ESPN Plus.
Yes,
why not?
Yes, I know. I got all. Me and my girlfriend, we got all that.
Yes.
And I tell you what. And by the way, the two greatest NBA players of all time, Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. There we go. Two different eras, two great players.
Definitely.
But I'm telling you what, man, go out and watch this movie. And if you own it, watch it with your kids or whatever.
I think this is one of those films that everybody has watched numerous times. And anybody who has kids, their kids love it. And so I don't think this is going to be one of those movies that we have to worry, did anybody show their kids this kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's one of those, okay, if you like animation and you like Warner Brothers, you like Bugs Bunny.
And Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and
Granted, you're going to be going oh, God, I'm old when the kids go, Daddy, who's that right there on the screen?
I tell you what, I kind of feel that way because, it's just, I watched the Michael Jordan, the documentary, mm-hmm. and I just started thinking back, oh, my God, am I that old?
Yeah, they're touching on all these subjects in these documentaries about back in the 80s and 90s. It's revolutionary information. You might not have known these facts about such and such. And you're sitting there going I remember watching that on TV. Oh, my God, I'm old.
Yeah, I know. I feel it. Oh, geez. Yeah, so
definitely got to watch
the movies that I recommend that you watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
but definitely Space Jam it's such a cornball product of its time type movie. Again, there are a lot of movies are products of their time, but this is one of those that does stand the test of time. Granted, you might have to explain to the younger audiences who Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley are, who even Bill Murray is, because Bill Murray is kind of like you barely see him anymore kind of actor. So it is a little bit of that in there, but it's still one of those films that the kids don't necessarily need to know who all these main actors are to really
enjoy the show. A lot of the kids nowadays, they didn't realize who Michael Jordan was.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they watched the documentary, and man, they know who he is.
Yep.
And, I wish they do that for Wilt Chamberlain, but that's another issue.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie you got for us.
Okay, it's on Netflix, and it's called Outer Banks.
Okay,
and it's a movie. There's a hurricane.
Thumbs up already.
What?
The wife has given me thumbs up on that one.
Yeah, it's a TV series. Sorry. Yeah, it's a TV. It's 10 parts. So. But this is I love this movie, and my daughter already watched it, and she said, "Dad, you need what?" And she told me and Melissa, "Dad, you need to watch Outer Banks." So we watched it. I tell you what, and it's on my list to watch, but I went ahead and watched it, and we were amazed by this. I tell you what, there was a hurricane hits and all, and then John B, played by Lance Strokes, his dad is he washed away and all that stuff, and in a hurricane and all that stuff. So he's trying to find out what happened to his dad and all this stuff. Then there's a treasure chest and all that stuff, and they go looking for all this. I tell you what, the movie looks amazing. It's amazing directing, amazing writing. And I just thought this movie was excellent. And there's sometimes it's funny, it's suspenseful. I just thought this movie was excellent. It stars Lance Strokes, Madeline Klein, Allison Bailey, Jonathan Dokes, and then also stars a guy from Nashville. If you watch Nashville, which I used to all the time, the TV series.
My wife watched that one also.
Oh, it's a great series. Come on, Eric.
I'm not big into drama, and I don't like country, so two things going against it right there. I can't help it. Sorry about that.
That's all right. But also, and then Charles Epstein plays the dad, and he started in Nashville and all. This movie, I highly recommend you watch this movie. It is terrific, and you'll get, like I said, it's funny, it's well written, well acted, and and then it's a whole story about what's happening, and I won't tell you the ending and all that stuff. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I tell you what, this movie is excellent. Me and Melissa said, Gabby, this is one series that we recommend. I'm going to come on and recommend Outer Banks. It is terrific. You can pick it up on Netflix and all that. It is excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so again, Outer Banks, Netflix. Anybody who is a fan should definitely check that out. I think I'm trying something new with the video real quick, right in the middle of the video. You never want to experiment with stuff, but I want to see what happens with this. So if anybody's noticing what happened over here, don't worry. So let's go on ahead. What is the next show you wanted to talk about, or next movie?
The next show is a movie called Upload, and it's done by the Emmy writing writer of The Office and Parks and Rec. Two of my all-time favorite comedies are those two comedies. And so Nathan Brown is killed in an auto accident and all that. And so he's in heaven or wherever he is. And so he doesn't know what happened and all this stuff. So Nora Anthony plays Andy, and she's on Earth, and she's just trying to direct him to what to do and all that stuff. And he goes in and finds out what happened with his death and all this. And it's funny, it's suspenseful. I thought that it was very well directed. And of course, with Greg Nomel, who's in charge of the writing, this movie is excellent. And I thought that when he comes around and all this stuff, and then, there's some other stuff that happens in this film. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but I'm telling you what, I would give this a shot. It is excellent. And I think you'll be excited about this movie. It's 10 episodes, and I highly recommend you watch it. And I also kind of think that, like I said, the acting in this I thought was so good, and I thought that.
I don't want to interrupt. What did you say the name of the show was again?
Upload.
Upload. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought that the acting in this is excellent. I thought that Robbie Amell plays Nathan Brown, the guy who gets murdered while he wrecks, and then I thought everybody in this movie was excellent. And then there's so many scenes in this movie that I thought was going to happen. It didn't happen, and all this. This kept me very interested in watching Upload, and I think they've been renewed for a second season.
I think I heard that too. This is on my watch list. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet, so I am excited about it. I do like Robbie Amell. His work is actually really good.
Yes.
I saw him in the one film with his cousin Stephen Amell, also from Arrow.
Yes.
What the heck was the name of it? Code 8.
Yeah.
So seeing his work, I mean, he was also Firestorm in The Flash.
Yes.
So, I mean, I really think Robbie Amell is a great actor in his own right if he's given the right opportunities and the right characters. And I know a lot of people might be looking at this going and being a little turned off, perhaps, because it has a bit of a Good Place vibe to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
But there's enough about it that's different. It has some pedigree to it from who put it out, you know, the producers, directors, and stuff like that.
Yes.
The creators of the show. So it is definitely something. If you haven't watched it, definitely do it. If you haven't, make sure it's on your to watch list.
I tell you what. Also, like I said before, Nora Anthony, who plays Andy, who's on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, her performance is one of the best I've seen so far this year. And I tell you what, she is excellent in this movie. So Stephen Amell, he's good too. But yeah, this is a really good series, and I'm glad it's been renewed for a second year. If you haven't caught it, it's on Amazon. Catch it. It's very good.
Excellent. So is there anything else that you had lined up, or was that pretty much all the shows and films so far?
Got one more.
One more. Okay.
One more.
After this one, I kind of want to touch on some perspectives and some views that I have regarding streaming services. Kind of this week, because maybe people aren't completely aware of certain things. So let's go ahead and hit this last film, and we'll move on to that topic.
Okay. I just watched this series this weekend. And yes, it's called Sweet Magnolias. Okay. Yes. It's a great series. But, okay, it stars on three different Southern women who've been friends since their first year of high school. And now, you know, their lives are changed and all that. And they're always there. One of them's being divorced. One of them's already divorced. And one of them hasn't been married. And the other one is just getting divorced. But I thought this movie is excellent, and I thought that they all are there for each other. And I thought the look of the movie is excellent. I thought that there's some tremendous acting in this movie, and also it's a story about just life in a small town. And also stars Chris Klein is one of the actors in this show, and he's good. And I just thought that it's just a story, the 10-part series, TV series, about what happens in a small town. And I thought this movie was excellent. And I tell you what, if you haven't watched this, it just came out this weekend. And I just thought, yeah, because like, you know, I watch everything with movies and TV. And I tell you what, this show is excellent. And I highly recommend it. If you haven't watched it, put it on your list. Now, your wife might like this. I know you're not going to like it. Huh?
What was the name of it again?
Sweet Magnolias.
Because when you said Sweet Magnolias, for some reason my brain went Steel Magnolias. Is it kind of following the same premise?
Yeah, it's kind of the same preference, but different kind of story.
Okay.
So, Yeah, I saw that and I was like, what? And then I looked at it again. Oh, it's Sweet Magnolias. So yeah, I tell you what, it is. It's an excellent show, and I highly recommend you watch this. Like I said, I just finished it on Friday. No, on Saturday I finished it.
Okay.
And I tell you what, it is excellent. So there you go, Eric. Those are some good movies that you might want to get a chance to watch and all that. And
all kinds of genres. So it's not like just saying, oh, hey, Notes Nerds is all about sci-fi and fantasy and all this stuff. But no, these are kind of shows that everybody should really take time, because nerds watch things other than just sci-fi and fantasy.
I'm the biggest nerd in the world.
So
yeah, I just thought, kind of want to get back to, because like, I've seen everything.
Yep.
And you know that. And I just want to give recommendations, because people can't go to theaters unless you.
Right now they can't. Well, even before all this, sorry, my light on my right here for my face just died on me. So whoops. That's why I went dark all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those kind of things where even before the pandemic hit, going to theaters, going to movies was already difficult because it's expensive. I mean, a date night just for a family of 4.
Oh.
You're looking at anywhere from $8 to $15 per ticket, depending on the age of the like the adults and the children. Then you got to throw in the popcorn and the drinks if you get, which you're going to want to. So you're looking at upwards of $60 to $100 depending on the theater you go. That you go to. And so these streaming services are becoming a major thing. And I want to touch on this little subject real quick before we move into the streaming services and what to expect for those who haven't really dived into streaming yet. Which is weird. Trolls World Tour. I seen the first Trolls film. It was cute. It was one of those cookie cutter children's movies. World Tour sucks. It's kind of like they did everything they needed to do in the first film. The second film is just a cash grab.
Exactly.
Just a cash grab. Here's the difference, though. If this movie would have gone to theaters as originally planned, it would have bombed. It would have been a complete disaster. But because it's on streaming services, it is a hugely popular film.
Yes.
Children. Parents aren't having, hey, we're already paying for this service. Why not? So, boom, they can get to watch it on either one of the main streaming services, or they rent it for the 24 hours off of Google Play or Amazon or Apple TV or whatever they're renting it through. $20 usually is the going rate for new films for rent or whatever on these streaming services. And you get it for 24 hours, and you can watch it as many times you want during that 24 hours.
Yeah.
$20 versus, like I said, the $60 to, be a bored parent at this cheesy little kids film that might have occasional jokes that are meant for adults, but you got to be paying attention to catch those jokes. And there are times when I'm watching a film and I'm going, whoa, that's a little much in a kid's film, because kids are smarter than these movie writers think nowadays.
Yes.
So, because back when I was a kid, there were some jokes, and like my favorite joke that went right over my head as a child that I picked up later on in my adult years, my late teen years, was Ghostbusters.
Oh,
the gatekeeper and the keymaster. At the time, I didn't realize that's a sex joke.
Exactly.
Back then, it was like, phoom, right over top of my head. Nowadays, it's like, it's a total sex joke. Huh? I get it now. So I was late to the party for that. But there are kids that might sit there and be like, they're 10 years old. Huh, that's a sex joke, mommy. And mommy's going to be like, whoa, Timmy, who have you been talking to? So, but here's the thing, though, with these streaming services, I think we're going to see a huge transition where movie theaters are going to reevaluate, or not movie theaters. Movie theaters hate this. AMC, for example. We're going to see a lot of movie production companies actually looking at streaming services and pay-per-view and on-demand services in a completely different light, that they could make millions back on an investment in a film that normally would have bombed. Because I mean, how many movies have we seen over the years that bombed at theaters, but had a huge resurgent on the secondary market in rentals and sales? Like, look at Blade Runner. Thinking of Blade Runner back in 1984 when it was released, it was a bomb. It bombed in theaters.
Yes.
But it's a cult. It gained a cult following to the point where now it's a mainstream popular film because people had the opportunity to watch it and realized, holy crap, this is actually a great movie.
Yes, it is. So, yes, just like about time.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody went to see this, and then everybody said, "Man, About Time was really good when it came out on Blu-ray, DVD, and all that stuff." And I'm like, I told you it was a good movie, you know? And by the way, The Invisible Man you can get that for $5 or $5.50 on whatever channel you can get that on.
I was not disappointed in that film.
I love that movie. Elizabeth Bank is a brilliant
acting. Yeah, the acting was good. It's just one of those kind of things where I'm hoping Blumhouse does not go this direction, because it sounds like Blumhouse has been given the keys to the Universal Monster franchises.
Well, Jamie Lee Curtis is going to direct a horror film.
But the problem I have with this is, okay, the Invisible Man thing, trying to go from, you know, because he drank a potion, makes him invisible, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's hard to sell the audiences, because we know there's enough people that are smart enough to realize you can't drink some magical potion to make you invisible. And having it as like a special predator camouflage super suit kind of thing makes it a lot more palatable. I'm just hoping that they're careful if they do this. Like, don't make Dracula into some science experiment. We're already going to get Morbius. So we don't need another one trying to copy that concept. But I mean, Frankenstein's monster, you really don't need to make any changes to that concept. Dracula, I would like to keep that in, you know, yes, a virus concept. We've seen that happen so many times, like the Guillermo del Toro series that was on FX a few years ago.
Yes.
Let's see, what was that new one that was out? There was another one out recently that did the same concept. Oh, the one that was on Fox that only lasted a whole season. That had
There's a show on Netflix called Dracula.
Yeah, well, I mean, that one's following the classic concept, though.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking like the more modern films and TV shows. There was one on Fox that had the guy from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
That was a good show, but it got canned. Again, back to the issue, viruses. It's all about the virus. And I could go with that, too, because we do see crazy viruses doing crazy things in the real world, or we have these molds and funguses that zombify. So we could do zombies that way, you know, make it all kind of realistic, and it helps with the budget. So this way you're not having to worry about, okay, in the constraints of reality, we have our vampire, but we can get away from the supernatural aspects of like the silver and silver bullets, silver mirrors, and all that stuff, that, you know, all the magical crap. So but let's talk. I'm sorry, what?
Real quick, The Invisible Man, one of the best films of the year. Sorry. we disagree on very few things. But
it's a good film, but I don't think I could go that high of a praise.
It's a fantastic movie.
So let's go ahead and talk about some streaming services that I think we should really hit on. Real quick, people might not realize this, but you can actually find a crap ton of great movies and stuff on YouTube. And I'm not talking about the illegally copyright issue movies that are uploaded by people. I'm talking there, if you go to youtube.com/movies, or if you look on your panel over here, on the left-hand side of your screen, when you go to YouTube, there's at the bottom, you got to scroll a little bit, it says movies, and you can either pay for movies that will end up in your Google Play movies and TV shows app on your phone. There's also a huge list of free ad-supported films that you can actually watch right there for free, without any issue, without any restrictions. Just it's supported by ads, and there's a lot of good ones. I mean, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a cult classic, a favorite of mine.
Yeah,
it's available there.
Well, The Light of Day with Michael J. Fox and Joan Jett hasn't been released on Blu-ray, or I think it was released on just tape.
Yeah, there's a lot of films like that never got modern, even DVD releases, and they're there.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking, oh my God, I went in and because that's a movie I like to watch. It's a fun movie. And then I kind of started thinking, damn, it's not even released on Blu-ray or DVD.
Well, the reason why for people are wondering, why isn't those released on Blu-ray if they have a huge following? The original cuts, the film is lost to time, whether it rotted away or it was thrown away because people are dumb in Hollywood. They don't think about the longevity. I mean, you think about all the classic films from the before the 1950s. Yeah. There are so many movies that have had to go through restoration processes to clean them up that were based off of old magnetic tape versions.
Yes.
Because the original 35 millimeter film stock is gone. Not because they didn't want to do anything with it. You got to remember, before the 80s, the idea of selling movies on a distribution media like magnetic tape or whatever was such a niche product. Yeah. Nowadays, we see it everywhere. And I mean, look, Netflix is a prime example of where that niche product has turned into a mainstream product.
I've seen so many movies from the past that you can only watch on TV. You can't get it on there's so many old movies that I want to get that people don't know about, and you just can't do it. You have to watch it on TV, which I don't mind that.
And it doesn't have to be the old movies either. Doctor Who is a great example of the first season is just gone. It's never to be seen again.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like that, I tell you what, thanks to Martin Scorsese and many other directors who are going back and saving movies from the 30s and before then, silent movies and all that, because it takes so long to do all this.
Yep.
You know, but you know what? Thank God for Martin Scorsese, a lot of other Steven Spielberg, and a lot of other big-time directors who decided, man, we need to show some of these movies. Yes, you do.
Well, they're great.
Even the silent movies.
Yeah, they're art, and they really show the evolution of the industry and the profession from going from, you know, how like King Kong is a classic with the stop motion animation, and now we are going to be getting you know, Godzilla versus Kong here next year, I believe it is, or this summer. It's coming up. I think it's
going to be next year. I heard that.
Pushed it back.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna, and King Kong, well, like Skull Island, King Kong, it was all digital, and you can't tell. That's how far we've come.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I was going to go watch the original King Kong with God, who's the actress in that?
I don't remember. It's been,
God.
If you're talking about the old original
original with Fay Wray.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I was going to go and watch that, and then all this virus stuff started hitting and all that, and I couldn't go. I wanted to see that on the big screen, newly done and all that stuff, and that didn't happen. Maybe they're going to bring it back sometime, you know, but you know, it's just, I mean, there's so many other great movies that people don't know about. Now, okay, I like just one of the guys that came out a long time ago, back in, I think the 84, 85 or something like that. I've been looking all over for that movie.
Yeah.
It was just released this week on Blu-ray. So I said, okay, that's fine. You know, I don't own that on any kind of format, not even Blu-ray, DVD, tape, Laserdisc. I can't find that. Yeah. And finally, just one of the guys is coming out. You know, it's just, you have to wait, and I don't like waiting for anything, but that's my personality.
I think that's a product of the time, if you will. But, let's go ahead and talk about streaming service as a whole, since you brought that up. Netflix, Hulu, they're solid platforms. pretty much everybody knows those. So we really don't need to touch on them. And honestly, I think those two platforms have the best models for how to put content out there, the UI experience. Some services I don't think a lot of people are too familiar with is Pluto TV. It's like having your own cable service without having to pay for cable, and it's got a lot of great content on it.
Oh, God,
all live. Gotta get it. Anybody, and it's also got on-demand stuff, so you could actually find movies and click, and it's totally 100% legal because they sign contracts. They've got all kinds of great content, and it's really a great cord-cutting service. Yes. And again, back to the whole idea of being able to watch movies whenever you want. There you go. Tubi TV, there's a lot of weird films that end up on Tubi that you think are lost to time, but they're not. Vudu, VUDU, they generally get viewed as like a rental service / buy movies through, but they also have a lot of freebies. By
the way, I saw just one of the guys on Pluto.
Yeah,
we had that on Pluto, and I was like, "There we go, that's cool." So,
sorry. There's a bunch of them out there. You just got to look for them. But those are really the big ones that tend to cover. And of course, Crackle, because Crackle is now owned by Sony. You get a lot of Sony products, including some of their classic cartoons like Real Ghostbusters, stuff like that. There's a new one out, but I want to touch on that one in a second. Amazon Prime. Yes. A lot of people forget that you can get movies for free or part of the Prime package to stream right then and there.
Absolutely.
The problem I have with Amazon Prime Video, though, and I'm sure everybody's going to sit here and hit that like button for this one, is their platform. The UI experience is horrible. It's miserable. It's so convoluted and confusing. Like, you could go through a series of movies, and I've done this numerous of times, where you're flipping through movies. Ooh, I want to watch that. And you click on it, and you forgot to look and see if it's got that little Prime banner up in the corner, and oh, you've got to rent it. Then you back out thinking, okay, well, but wait a second. I was looking at Prime movies, and yeah, it's a Prime movie, but you got to rent it, whereas it's surrounded by other movies right there in that little bar where you could just, it has that little banner right here in that corner. And it's like, you guys, what Amazon needs to do is create the Watch with Prime, part of the Prime package, just over here. Separate it into genres instead of, oh my God, have you ever tried scrolling down?
Yes.
And it just goes on forever. And it loops at one point, and you're lost, and you're like, okay, how do I get back to the top as quickly and as easily as possible? Back out of the app and go back into it, basically.
Well, there's a TV series called Clueless, stars Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she plays the mom in all this. And she has a girl, Cher, and all that stuff. I wanted to watch that.
Yeah, it's hard to find.
Then I said, oh, hell. I pay for too many.
One thing that I have to say that helps clean up the experience for all of these services is, if you want to watch something, go to google.com, type in the search bar what show you want to watch. And generally speaking, the way Google is set up nowadays, for the last few years, it will show you, and it has a little menu on there that tells you where you can watch it streaming and how much it will cost, if it'll cost anything. And that is probably the best way, because you'll be able to find it across different platforms. Like, oh, hey, it's on Tubi TV. Great. Well, it's free, but with ads. Oh, hey, it's also on Amazon with my Prime service. Great. Without ads. So if you're paying for it, go for it. If you're not paying for it, go for that. I mean, however you can watch it is what's important. But the UI experience is everything. And Amazon Prime, for some reason, has yet to update and fix their platform. They want to be some. I even saw that there's a bunch of YouTubers that are using Amazon Video to distribute their content. And I went in to investigate to see how to do it myself. It is a convoluted and ugly process. It's so hard to get in there and make it as, like, you know, anybody who's uploaded to YouTube knows it's a pretty streamless, pretty painless experience. Not with Amazon. And unless you're going through a production company that does that for you, you're going to be sitting there blowing a lot of time trying to get this to work right. But one service I think is the worst so far, and I really have no faith in the service right now, is Quibi. Yeah. Everybody's talking about Quibi. I think it's a service that it's not designed to succeed, not because they didn't want it to succeed. They're competing in a market that is so full. I mean, we got HBO Max coming out. DC Universe is already stuttering, if you will. Yeah. And it's a package, a whole service that should have succeeded, but it's having troubles because everybody's paying out the yin yang for all these services that cord cutters are becoming cord installers again because it's just easier to have cable. And that's horrible because there's so much great content on these streaming services. And here comes Quibi, which is really just, it's not catering to people like us. It's catering to actors and actresses that want to try more artsy stuff, yet at the same time get paid for doing so instead of going the route of YouTube or something where, you know, oh, I got to invest my own money with very little return on it. Well, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go over here to Quibi so I can actually get paid for what I'm doing. And then, I don't know. It's just one of those services that by the end of the year, I expect to see a free package where you can sign up, get free ad-supported content, maybe an occasional access to Quibi exclusives, but not a lot of them. And then there's going to be the minimum paid version with ads. So this way you have access to all the stuff. And then, you know, the big premium package where you got access to everything without ads. I think that's what's going to happen. And then after a year after that, I think it's going to just shutter its doors and be done because I just don't think it's going to catch on unless they can readjust because they're going with a 10-minute platform. Yeah. I've seen a lot of websites trying to do the short form content, and you get 5 minutes worth of actual video content that's bookended by, you know, 2 or 3 minutes of intro crap and 5 minutes worth of credits at the other end. Because this is going with industry standard practices instead of the YouTube style practices. Yeah. You got to make sure that everybody that's part of your production is getting proper credit because they belong to some kind of, professional union. And that's going to, again, another problem that's going to hurt Quibi.
See, I would have got Clueless. And if they had commercials in that, hell, I don't care.
Yeah, it's about, like I said, it's about getting the content and getting it as easy as possible. And as long as there are services that are like that, it's just going to be really hard for all the other ones. Yeah. But with that, guys, I want to go ahead and kind of close off the episode here. Well,
can I say something?
Go right on ahead.
Okay. As Eric knows and everything, I called off all the movies for this year. And we're going to start it off next year. We're going to show Back to the Future and bring in some people and all that. And hopefully the DeLorean car will show up. And then, but I just kind of decided just to call everything off this year because there's too much at
stake right now.
Yeah, you don't know. And I just don't want anybody to have to go in a mask and all that. That's probably necessary. But, I just wanted to schedule everything for next year. And that's what me and Eric and Kim and everybody kind of decided. We had that meeting. And we kind of decided to call everything off for this year because and everybody is coming back to Slash and Bash next year. I already talked to everybody. And they're all coming back next year, and we'll let you guys know more all about that coming up in the next month or so. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people might be wondering, well, why aren't you going ahead and push forward? Because, I mean, this is all, just do it to the end of the year, blah, blah, blah. It is about you, the viewer, the safety and health that we care about the most. A lot of celebrities are feeling the same way, that they don't want to put everybody at risk either, and themselves. And that's the important thing. So we do have plans, because Keith and I and Kim have all been discussing this for a couple weeks now, trying to look at alternatives that a lot of people are trying to do. And we have some ideas. The problem is getting them implemented and actually working. So
yeah, but it is going to happen.
Yes, definitely. Next year, everything's going to go back to normal. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So before I close off then, I just want to say, if you guys want to help support Notes Nerds and keep content like this happening, please go to patreon.com/notesnerds, where we have tiers starting at $1 and they just go up from there. The higher the tier, the more stuff you get back as a reward. If you also want to help, you could also go, we have a PayPal link down below or above, depending on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching this, where you can give us a tip of whatever amount you want, a one-time tip. We also have our shop at shop.notesnerds.com, where you get t-shirts like this, amongst other things. We also have mugs and all like totes.
You got mugs?
We got coffee mugs, yes.
Oh God.
So all kinds of cool stuff there. And also don't forget, just clicking the subscribe and like button on YouTube and Facebook means a huge amount. It really does help out with exposure. It helps get us out there further. Honestly, I want to get a silver play button. So if we could hit 100,000 subscribers, I would be very happy. So again, guys, thank you, Keith, for being here on the show. Remember, Keith the Critic on YouTube, or not YouTube, Facebook. We'll keep you all kind of updated on that stuff. Slash and Bash over on Facebook. All out of Topeka, Kansas. We get to a lot of great stuff with that. So, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you later, okay?